Welcome back to Reliable Prepper, where we provide you with the tools, knowledge, and strategies to prepare for whatever comes your way. Today's topic is one of the most important and pressing issues that any prepper must consider when a true societal collapse occurs. We're going to dive deep into dealing with looters, thieves, and marauders when the SHT hits the fan, and people are willing to do whatever it takes to survive, at your expense. In this video, we'll break down the mindset of looters and marauders, how to fortify your home into an unbreakable fortress, and the specific steps you can take to keep you and your loved ones safe in these dangerous situations. We'll focus on how to secure your home and stand your ground without having to run or escape. Remember, in a true shit hits the fan SHTF scenario, leaving your home may not be an option. So, how do you survive when you're hunkering down? Make sure to stick around, as I've got some crucial advice that could mean the difference between life and death. And before we dive in, don't forget to follow us on Facebook at Reliable Prepper for even more tips, strategies, and content that'll help you prepare for whatever comes next. Let's get into it. To understand how to defend your home, we need to first take a closer look at the kinds of threats you'll face. In any breakdown of society, you'll encounter two main types of people who could try to take what's yours: desperate individuals and organized marauders. Each type of threat requires a different approach, and knowing what motivates them is key to your defense strategy. First, let's talk about desperate individuals. These people are usually unprepared for a long-term crisis. They haven't stockpiled food, water, or other essentials, and as the situation drags on, they become desperate. Their actions are fueled by fear and immediate need. Most likely, they're looking for a quick score, something to tide them over for a few more days. These looters are opportunistic, which means they'll often go after what appears to be the easiest target. If they see a home that looks abandoned or unsecured, that's where they'll go. But here's the thing, because they're driven by desperation, they're also likely to be impulsive. Desperate looters aren't thinking strategically. They're not going to spend hours trying to break into a fortified home. If they see signs that a property is too difficult or too risky to break into, they'll often move on. Now let's contrast that with organized marauders. In a long-term SHTF scenario, these groups are a different beast altogether. These aren't your average looters. They are organized, armed, and often operate with a plan. They're looking to dominate and control resources, not just grab whatever they can carry. These groups may use tactics, have numbers on their side, and won't be easily deterred by simple defenses. The good news? Organized marauders will still assess the risk-to-reward ratio. If your home looks like it's more trouble than it's worth, they might choose to bypass it altogether. But make no mistake, these are the people you need to be most prepared for, because if they decide to come for your supplies, they'll come with force. In a SHTF scenario, fortifying your home isn't just a suggestion. It's essential for survival. Let's talk about OPSEC, or operational security, which is arguably the most important part of your defense strategy. The first rule of survival in a societal collapse is simple. The fewer people who know you have supplies, the better. In an SHTF situation, you don't want to draw any unnecessary attention to yourself or your home. Let's break down exactly how you can avoid becoming a target. First and foremost, keep your prep secret. This might seem like common sense, but too many preppers make the mistake of telling friends, neighbors, or even family members about their stockpile. Trust me, people change when they're desperate. The guy next door who seems friendly today might become the biggest threat tomorrow when he's running out of food. The fewer people who know about your resources, the safer you are. Now, you also need to think about how you present yourself. In an AHTF scenario, looking healthy and well-fed will make you a target. You need to blend in with the crowd. Don't wear clean clothes when everyone else is covered in dirt. Don't show signs that you have access to things like running water or a working generator. Wear worn-out clothing. Avoid obvious grooming. And act as though you're struggling just like everyone else. Next, let's talk about noise and light discipline. Running a generator, using power tools, or even just having lights on at night can attract looters from miles away. You need to stay as quiet as possible. If you have a generator, use it sparingly, and if possible, use blackout curtains to ensure no light escapes from your windows at night. The goal here is to make it seem like your home is empty or abandoned, anything that might keep looters from thinking you have anything worth taking. A big part of OPSEC is camouflaging your supplies. If looters do manage to enter your home, you don't want them to find your stockpile easily. In rural areas, consider burying caches of food, water, or other essentials in hidden locations. You can use natural camouflage like forests or fields to conceal your supplies. In urban areas, false walls, hidden compartments, or even hollowed-out furniture can be excellent places to hide your most valuable items. The key is to make sure that even if someone enters your home, they leave without discovering your real stockpile. Now let's get into the most critical part of your defense plan, fortifying your home. In an SHTF scenario, your home is your stronghold. It needs to be more than just a place to live. It has to be a fortress capable of withstanding a serious threat. Whether it's looters looking for a quick grab or organized marauders planning a full assault, your home has to be ready for anything. Let's start with the basics, reinforcing entry points. Most looters will attempt to break in through doors or windows, and if you're still using standard residential locks, you're in trouble. Upgrade all your doors to steel core doors and install heavy-duty deadbolts. Standard locks won't cut it. You should also reinforce the door frames with longer screws to make it much harder to kick the door in. Windows are another weak point. I recommend installing security bars on your windows, especially on ground-level windows, or you can invest in polycarbonate panels. Polycarbonate is nearly shatterproof, and while it looks like regular glass, it can withstand significant force. Another option is using security window film, which helps prevent windows from shattering even if they're hit with an object. Once your doors and windows are reinforced, you'll want to think about barricades. Barricading isn't just for the movies. It can buy you critical time if someone tries to force their way in. Inside your home, use heavy furniture to barricade doors. You can also create more permanent barricades with sandbags or even wooden beams that brace doors shut. These simple strategies can make it much harder for looters to break in quickly. But here's the thing, the best defense is often psychological. Sometimes you can scare off looters or marauders without ever having to engage. Consider putting up signs like "Looters will be shot" or "Quarantine area, keep out." These types of warnings can cause looters to second-guess whether your home is worth the risk. Now let's talk about dogs. A well-trained guard dog can be one of the best defenses you have. Not only does a barking dog act as an early warning system, but it also serves as a deterrent. Many looters won't bother with a house that has a large, aggressive-sounding dog. Even if you don't have a guard dog, setting up a recording of a barking dog can sometimes be enough to scare off opportunistic looters. Before we dive into more strategies for securing your home, I want to remind you to follow Reliable Prepper on Facebook. We're constantly sharing tips, strategies, and content that'll help you be better prepared for whatever comes your way. Whether it's fortifying your home, survival tactics, or tips on stockpiling, our Facebook community is the place to stay informed. Don't miss out. All right, so discuss one of the most important aspects of defending your home self-defense. While the goal is always to avoid confrontation when possible, sometimes the situation escalates, and you have no choice but to protect yourself and your loved ones. In an SHTF situation, having the right weapons and knowing how to use them is critical. First, let's talk about firearms. In close quarters, like inside your home, handguns are often the best choice. They're easy to maneuver in tight spaces, and with the right training, they can be highly effective. I recommend a semi-automatic pistol like a 9mm for home defense. Make sure you're comfortable drawing, firing, and reloading it. Regular training is key. Shooting at the range is one thing, but practicing in low-light or high-stress situations is what really prepares you for a home invasion. Another option that many preppers swear by for home defense is a shotgun. The shotgun's stopping power is hard to beat, especially at close range. A 12-gauge shotgun loaded with buckshot can incapacitate multiple attackers quickly and is especially effective if looters manage to break through your barricades. The downside? A shotgun is less effective at longer ranges, but for defending a home, especially in hallways or doorways, it's one of the best tools you can have. If you're defending a larger property or you want to be prepared for longer-range engagements, a rifle is your best bet. Something like an AR-15 or AK-47 offers a good balance of accuracy, firepower, and range. These rifles are versatile and allow you to engage threats at a distance, which is especially important if you need to defend a larger perimeter. Remember though, just like with handguns and shotguns, regular training with your rifle is a must. You need to be able to operate it under pressure. Now, while firearms are often the first line of defense, non-lethal options also play an important role. In some situations, lethal force may not be necessary, or even appropriate. pepper spray or a taser can incapacitate a looter long enough for you to get them out of your home without taking a life. Rubber bullets or beanbag rounds can also be an effective deterrent in a situation where lethal force isn't justified. But listen carefully. Owning these weapons isn't enough. You need to know how to use them. Take regular trips to the range, practice drawing your weapon, and train for real-life scenarios. Don't just assume that having a gun or a taser makes you invincible. In a crisis, hesitation can be deadly, so practice until these actions become second nature. And don't forget about weapon maintenance. In a prolonged collapse, your guns and ammunition can degrade if not properly stored and cared for. Keep your firearms clean, well-oiled, and safely stored in a place where you can access them quickly. Even with all the OPSEC and fortifications in the world, there's always the possibility that looters or marauders will attempt to enter your home. When that happens, staying calm and strategic is the key to survival. Let's talk about how to handle these situations when they arise. The first rule of any survival situation is to avoid confrontation whenever possible. Engaging in violence should always be your last resort. So if you see looters or marauders approaching your property, the first thing you should do is stay hidden. If they don't see you, they may decide your home isn't worth the risk and move on. You want to avoid giving them any reason to engage with you. In some cases, it may be wise to set up decoys. For example, you could create a false supply cache, something that looks valuable but isn't. This could be something as simple as a few visible cans of food left out in a shed. The goal is to let looters take the bait and leave without ever entering your home or finding your real supplies. Now, if looters are already on your property or inside your home and confrontation becomes inevitable, the key is to act decisively. Hesitation in these situations can be deadly. Use your home's layout to your advantage. If possible, position yourself behind solid cover like thick furniture or walls that can stop a bullet. Take the high ground if you can. Second-story windows, balconies, or elevated positions give you a strategic advantage in any fight. Remember what I said earlier about your weapons training? This is where it pays off. Know your home's blind spots and don't give looters an easy target. If you've set up proper barricades and fortified your entry points, looters will have to funnel through specific areas to get to you. This gives you a tactical advantage, as you know exactly where they'll be coming from. Also, don't forget about diversionary tactics. If you're outnumbered or overwhelmed, sometimes creating a distraction, like setting off a loud alarm or throwing an object, can buy you time to reposition or even escape to a safer part of the house. It's not always about fighting head-on. Survival is about using your environment and resources wisely. Once the conflict is over, it's essential to remain on high alert. Scan the area for any additional threats. Marauders, especially, often work in teams. And even if you've dealt with the immediate danger, there could be lookouts or reinforcements nearby. Never assume the fight is over until you're absolutely sure. In a long-term societal collapse, one of the most effective ways to protect yourself and your home is by forming a community defense network. The truth is, surviving alone is tough. There's strength in numbers, and if you can form a trusted network of neighbors or friends, you'll greatly increase your chances of survival. So how do you go about building this network? The first step is to choose the right people. Not everyone in your community will be a good fit for this. You need people who are trustworthy, skilled, and committed. This could be family members, close friends, or neighbors you know well. The key here is trust. In a crisis, you don't want to rely on people who might bail out when things get tough. Next, it's important to establish clear roles within the group. Some people might be responsible for defense, standing watch, manning lookout points, or patrolling the area. Others might be more suited to resource management, organizing food, water, and medical supplies. Make sure everyone in your network knows what their responsibilities are and how they'll contribute to the group's survival. Now let's talk about communication. In an SHTF scenario, cell phones and the internet may not be reliable, so you'll need to use alternative forms of communication. Two-way radios are a must. Ensure everyone in your group has a reliable radio and knows how to use it. Establish pre-programmed frequencies and use code words to avoid giving away critical information to eavesdroppers. For longer-range communication, consider CB radios or ham radios. These devices have much greater range and can be used to maintain contact with other survivor groups or neighboring communities. Just be careful not to broadcast sensitive information, as marauders could be listening in. A well-organized group also has the benefit of being able to pool resources. This can include ammunition, food, water, and medical supplies. By pooling surplus resources, you can make sure that everyone in your group is well armed and has enough supplies to last. This also prevents anyone home from becoming a target because they have more than others. Lastly, you'll want to establish defensive positions around the perimeter of your community. Lookout posts, barricades, and alarms are essential for detecting intruders before they get too close. Set up rotating watch shifts so that someone is always on lookout day and night. This ensures 24/7 vigilance and reduces the risk of being caught off guard. A community defense network not only increases your security, but also creates a support system where people can rely on each other when times get tough. In a long-term collapse, this kind of network can be the difference between survival and failure. At the end of the day, dealing with looters, thieves, and marauders is a reality you must prepare for in any SHTF scenario. Your home needs to be a fortress, and you need to be ready, both mentally and physically, to defend it. From understanding the psychology of your attackers to fortifying your home, practicing operational security, and mastering the tools of self-defense, the strategies we've discussed today are crucial for protecting your life and your supplies. I hope you found today's video helpful. Remember, the most important part of survival is preparation, both in your mindset and in your tactics. Stay sharp, stay prepared, and make sure your home is ready for whatever comes. And before you go, don't forget to follow Reliable Prepper on Facebook. We're always sharing new content, tips, and strategies to help you stay ahead of the curve. Join the conversation, ask questions, and become part of a community that's dedicated to surviving and thriving in any situation. Stay safe, everyone.